people, and welcome to Module 5, On-Site. We're now coming down the home stretch for the course, so nicely done for hanging in there. On-Site. Here is where the rubber meets the road. This is a lot to do, and the days will be long, so bring comfortable shoes and get your head in the right place. This is where you're going to see exactly how much your pre-planning mattered and how instrumental it has been in the success of your event as it unfolds on-site. All right, let's rock and roll. All right, on-site. The first thing I recommend is creating a run-of-show document that you'll distribute to your team and the executives, and this should include the following. You're going to want to include a day-by-day breakdown, timing of all the events and activities, locations of each event and activity, the details on the meeting or event type, for example, if it's a rehearsal, if it's a main session, group lunch, VIP dinner, etc. You're going to list all the arrivals or departures for staff, VIPs, or the main group for each day, what items are being shipped to the hotel for the meeting and who they are to, and the expected delivery date. Include all staff email and phone numbers. Include all vendor contact info, email and phone numbers. Make sure you have the hotel information on there, the address, phone, and main contact for the event. Which staff oversee each area of the event. For example, who's going to be the lead for food and beverage, or the meetings, or VIPs. You can also add the nearest medical facilities, grocery stores, office supply store, or other place of business that you think you might need or someone might need for your event. Anything else you want to add that's important to you and your team, go ahead and add it to the run of show. Pre-con meeting, this is important. You're going to want to set up ahead of time a pre-con meeting, which is a pre-convention meeting with your hotel contact and their staff. So the meeting is for meeting with all the top members of the different departments of the hotel, such as sales, front desk, catering, accounting, etc., and your team leads and you. This is the meeting where you walk through your event from beginning to end and make sure everyone is on the same page. You're going to walk through the BEOs, the rooming list, your arrivals, AV, VIPs, room deliveries, billing expectations, everything. You're going to go through every single thing. The timing, location, dates, event timing, inclusions, and confirm pricing to make sure it matches everything that you initially agreed upon. Depending on your event, this can take up to a couple of hours. So make sure you set aside enough time. This is where you're going to get to know their team and they're going to get to know your team. Leave the BEOs for last so the rest of the team on both sides can leave the meeting and get to work. You'll then want to walk through the BEOs, all of them, in great detail with your catering and convention managers and your food and beverage lead to make any changes, verify your menus, counts, and timing. So, in regard to the BEOs, when the event begins, make sure you work closely with your catering and convention manager. Check every food and beverage function at least 30 minutes prior to making sure all is looking good and on track. You don't want any surprises last minute when the VIPs walk in and your dinner isn't ready. Confirm any special meals and know who those special meals are for. Your allergies, your aversions, anything like that you're going to want to know ahead of time. Check the bars to make sure they have what you ordered. Did you order house brands or call brands? Make sure they're there. Make sure you have the wine that you ordered. And ask the hotel not to uncork your wine ahead of time. Some hotels will uncork like 6, 8, or 10 bottles of wine, and then if you don't drink them all, you're paying for them anyway, so check on that. Stay on top of the count during the event in case you go over your guarantee, especially if it's a seated dinner and you have the room set for 120 people and you have 121 people show up. It's going to be uncomfortable, so make sure you're on top of those guarantees. There should also be staff at all group meals the entire time in case something happens. If a VIP needs something, someone has unfortunately a reaction to something, you need to add more food last minute, you're going to want a staff person there the whole time. The only thing this doesn't include is maybe the breaks, the coffee breaks, but someone should be checking on them consistently to make sure your coffee and your snacks are not running out. But someone doesn't need to be stationed there the whole time. So your rooming list. Compare your hotel rooming list to the internal rooming list where you track your registrations. What this means is the hotel is going to run off a rooming list for you, and then you should have your own internal list that you initially gave to them, telling them how to block those rooms. You want to double check all of that. Make sure all the arrival and departure dates are correct. Make sure you have every attendee on there and that their name is spelled correctly, because if they check in and their name is spelled wrong, they're not going to find them, and then that can cause a problem. Make sure you confirm the room type, if it's a staff room, a VIP room, share with, which means if someone's sharing a room with someone else, your suites, if it's an oceanfront, etc. Go through all those details and make sure all the rooms are correct. And confirm rooms to the master account, or which rooms are being paid on own. So a lot of times you'll have your staff and your VIPs and your speakers that are all to a master account, and then sometimes the attendees are paying on their own. Or you may be paying for all those rooms. You just need to confirm all of that. Your event staff. Have an initial staff meeting, all hands on deck, and walk through the entire event in detail when all staff are on site. And I would suggest you consider the following leads: a lead coordinator or overall event manager. More than likely that's probably you. And you're going to want to hold staff meetings every day and oversee all areas of the event. Make sure your team has what they need to do their job and support as needed. I recommend a registration or check-in lead, especially if your registration is extensive or you have a large group. Set up the registration desk and assemble any and all items that will be handed out. This person is the heart of the event. The registration desk is where everything begins, and it's the first point of contact for your attendees. I recommend a meeting lead. This person confirms any rehearsals and makes sure all the AV is correct, the room is set up correctly, and security is confirmed if you need security. Have a food and beverage lead. Walk through all the BEOs with this person and with the hotel as needed. Confirm any special dietary needs, meal room setup and timing, and advance all the functions every single day. Even if it's a repeat, you want to advance that function. Transportation lead. This is the person that's going to meet with your DMC or your destination management company or your transportation vendor. Confirm all the arrivals and departures, the type of the vehicle that's being set up for all arrivals and departures. Is it going to be a van? Is it going to be a sedan, a mini coach, a bus? Make sure you know what type of vehicle they're using for all your transfers. And changes will happen, so have a way to track them and stay on top of it, because once things start happening, it can get a little confusing. So make your changes in order on a notepad or on your computer, however you need to do that, but keep on top of those. I recommend an accounting or billing lead. And again, this might be you if you don't have a real large event. Meet with a hotel, their accounting department, and discuss your expectations. And I recommend receiving all the billing from the previous day each morning so you can double check it all, sign off on it, and make sure everything is good. So that way when you get to the end of your event, you've already gone through the billing. And then any support staff is needed. Have your support leads, use their staff as needed. Sometimes people can handle multiple areas or support multiple areas. You're going to need staff at the registration desk to help with the checking in, the rooming list, setting up your signage, at your F&B functions, all of that. So make sure you have enough staff to do all of that. Your staff should arrive at least a day or two before the event starts, so you have time to prepare for the attendees' arrival. I sometimes arrive up to 3 days prior, so there's plenty of time for initial meetings and prep work, and you're not in a rush, and you don't start out tired when the attendees arrive. Have a staff meeting every morning or every evening to touch base on the day's agenda, and then update the team as needed on changes. Things are going to change, and you want to make sure everyone on your team knows that so someone's not giving incorrect information. Have a plan to communicate to the team, to share any updates that happen during the day, chat groups, radios, whiteboard in the staff room, whatever you need, but make sure you have a way to keep everyone up to date. All right, the setup. Your setup is going to vary based on your event inclusions. It may include the main meeting room, workroom, registration, hospitality suite, group meals, outdoor functions, parking lots, anything like that you're going to use. You want to make sure you're on top of all the setup for all of that. So for your main meeting room example, you're going to confirm the table and room set. Are you going to have rounds? Is it going to be set theater style, classroom style? How many chairs? Some have a combination of rounds and theater. So you want to know how many chairs are going to be in there, the tablecloths, what colors, the AV, staging, electrical, lighting, the sound, speaker needs, pads and pens on the tables, water stations. Is there a break in the back of the room? Maybe vendor tables inside the room. Breakout rooms, kind of the same. Are you utilizing any additional meeting space for breakouts or secondary meetings? If so, the same questions apply as the main meeting room in regards to how the room is set up, the AV, etc. Make sure you walk through all the AV and the production schedule very carefully. This may not be an area that you're comfortable with as far as all the terminology, so make sure you know exactly what you've ordered and exactly what you're getting. The registration. Make sure you confirm the location of all the tables, the chairs, the back tables, the garbage bins, electrical access, signage, stanchions, and anything else that you're going to need for check-in. Your workroom. This is for your staff and maybe your VIPs or executives. How's this going to be used? Set it up to manage as you need for the swag assembly, storage, staff meetings, staff meals, and to store your event supplies. The group meals. Locate the rooms in conjunction to the meeting space. How is the room set? What is the overset? Is the AV in the right place if you're having speakers during a meal? Is the buffet inside or outside of the room or in the lobby? If you are doing a buffet, are you reserving any tables or seats in the group function? And last thing, your hospitality suite. Are you having a hospitality suite? How will it be set up? How many people will be in the room at one time? Is there any food and beverage in the room? What are the hours of the hospitality suite? Who will man the room? And again, any directional signage that is going to be needed to direct people to that suite. All right, your registration or hospitality desk, whichever you call it. Set up the desk based on the number of attendees or the groups attending. For example, if you have maybe a general group, a VIP group, sponsors, or maybe you want to do it by the last name in the alphabet. However you want to set it up, go ahead and decide that and double check that all badges are there and you alphabetize them. Again, depending on how you want them. If you want to do, first name or last name, obviously I recommend last name, but people have there are different ways of organizing the badges. And then decide if you're going to attach the lanyards ahead of time or hand them out separately as attendees pick up the badges. I, again, like to hand them out separately because lanyards can get tangled up and they just cause a delay and it can turn into a big mess. So I like to give out the lanyards separately. Confirm you have enough swag and separate each item for easy access at the desk or put into bags if you're handing out bags. Make sure, again, you count everything ahead of time so there's no surprises when people are checking in. You don't want to run out of something. Are you handing out printed agendas? If so, have these ready or add them to the bags as well. As I just said, count everything. Do not assume you have what you need or ordered. This is why those pre-days, you open up everything and you count everything again just to make sure. You may be missing a box that you weren't even aware. So this is when you catch all those things. Set up all directional signage so attendees know where to check in. They know where the dinners are. They know where the main meeting is. What I recommend is walking into the hotel as if you're an attendee for the first time. And when you come to a spot where you have a decision to make, which way do I go? That's where you put a sign. What are the hours of the desk? Make sure that you know that and you communicate that with your attendees. I recommend removing all items that someone can walk off with at the end of each day and storing them in your workroom. And then you set up again in the morning before the day starts. Be prepared to answer all questions on meeting locations, timing, where are the bathrooms, anything on speakers, how attendees get from point A to point B, what time the group meals are. People are going to talk to you about flight changes, sleeping room changes, and everything else is going to come through the registration desk. So make sure you and your staff are very well up to date on all the inclusions of your event. So the event flow. Do a walkthrough with the executives and your team members and maybe the speakers if they need it, so everyone knows where the meeting rooms are, where the restaurants are. Again, the restrooms, the elevators, maybe the escalators, a business center. A lot of your VIPs are going to want to know where the gym is, how to get to outdoor space if you're using outdoor space. And they will also be asked by the attendees, so they're going to want to know where everything is as well. Transportation. You're going to want to confirm all your transportation that's going to be used during the event. Again, check all the arrival and departure times, the flights, the timing of the landings, when they're departing, when the vehicles are going to pick them up at the airport, what time you're going to leave from the hotel to go back to the airport, what's the process at the airport for the meet and greets, where are your attendees going to be met, and how will they find those people that are going to be directing them to the transportation. Check all vehicle types, again, being used for your group transfers, like your coaches, minis, sedan. Do you really need a mini coach or do you need a van? Is it going to save you some money? Pay attention to that. Are there any cars being used for executive transfers? Make sure. Sometimes people will come in and they'll decide they're going to rent a car and nobody knows, and you spend time looking for that person. So make sure you know who's going to rent cars. Where are the individual groups going to be dropped off and picked up at the hotel or the venue? A lot of hotels, you're not going to be driving a full-size bus under their porte-cochere at the front of the hotel. They might have a side entrance, so make sure you know what's going on there. And again, the staging times and their vendor staff. Staging times mean if you have someone that's leaving at 10 o'clock, you want the vehicle there at 9:45, maybe 9:30, depending on how many people are going to be there, so you're not waiting and wondering where that vehicle is. VIPs and speakers. You're going to want to confirm, again, their arrival and departure transportation if you're coordinating this. Confirm their sleeping rooms ahead of time and any on-site needs that they're going to have. Finalize their presentations and any last-minute changes, because there will be some. Make sure they have time for a run-through in the main meeting room if they want. Are there any special VIP meetings, meals, or gifts? Meet them at the lobby entrance when they arrive. It's just a nice thing to do, and direct them to the front desk or help walk them to like the meeting room, up to their room, to their registration. Anything you can do to make them feel a little special is helpful. Master accounts. So these are accounts you're going to have set up with a hotel that your company is paying for directly versus something that someone else is going to pay for, an individual, say, that's paying for their own room. So you're going to want to set up master accounts and ask to receive these charges each morning for the previous day. So again, you can stay on top of this. Go over the billing each morning from the previous day and communicate any discrepancies right away with the hotel so they can get those taken care of. You're going to want to go through, again, all the BEOs carefully to make sure that the counts are correct and the charges are correct. And if there were any overages, you okay those. There aren't any surprises for your budget. Communicate anything that goes over budget to the event lead so they can stay on top of it, or your VIPs, or if there's someone at your company you need to make sure is aware if you're going over the budget. Vendors. Have the appropriate staff leads meet with any on-site or supporting vendors and their area of responsibility. Again, I keep repeating myself, but transportation, the arrival and departure information is imperative. When the attendees arrive at the airport, that is literally their first point of contact with someone at your event. So you want to make sure that the vendor is an extension of you and understands your expectations. Make sure the shuttles to offsite events or meals are, where they're going to stage, the timing, they're all correct. The staff from your team or the vendor, make sure they know where they're going, make sure they know when they get off the shuttle where the venue is, and communicate any changes continually with any of that. In regards to offsite restaurants, take a trip to the restaurant ahead of time. Talk to the manager, see your space, discuss the seating, the menu, the timing, and the billing. Where are you going to drop off the group if you're coming via a shuttle, and confirm any food allergies with those hotels or restaurants. Your entertainment, discuss expectations on setup, timing, interaction with attendees, and extending their time on site if needed. A lot of times you'll get a last minute VIP saying, hey, can we just have them go another half hour? Make sure they can do that ahead of time so they don't end up walking away and then your VIPs are unhappy. Demo locations. Meet with any vendors supporting an off-site location, such as tent suppliers, restrooms, security, activities or games. Maybe you're going to have food vendors. Confirm you have any and all permits needed, and then confirm final billing procedures and timing of billing with all vendors. Sponsors and exhibitors. If you have sponsors or exhibitors, confirm the vendor space. Where is it? Is it 10 by 10 space? Are you going to have a separate room for them? Just make sure you know where it is and assign everyone a space ahead of time. Have those tables set up, the chairs, the wastebaskets, electrical, or anything else they are going to need for their booth. You may have to sign for and receive shipments that are sent by vendors. So either store that in your workroom if there's space, or leave in the shipping area at the hotel, but just make sure you know that they're there so when the vendors and exhibitors, or sponsors, and exhibitors get there, because they're going to check in with you, you can tell them, yes, your packages have received, and maybe they're at their booth. Everything is good to go. Okay, print items. If you think you will have to print anything on site, see if the hotel business center is adequate. If not, you're going to want to find the nearest print shop and add that information to your run of show. Many on-site print shops can bill direct to your master at the hotel, which makes it very convenient. Badges and lanyards. Again, confirm you have a badge for everyone on the attendee list. Make badges for those that are late adds. Alphabetize them and have a plan to hand them out, by group, by last name, etc. Make sure you have enough staff on arrival day to check people in. Hand out the badges and the swag. This will obviously be your busiest day for the desk. Team members may have to jump in and support for a bit. You don't want people standing too long in line, so have extra hands on deck just in case. Offsite activities. Again, visit any offsite restaurants or venues you are using during your event ahead of time before the group gets there. Confirm travel time and routes to each location. Have a backup route, just in case there's an accident or something unexpected. Have addresses for each location, as vendors will need that. Some executives might drive or take a car service, and some attendees will drive or even walk if it is not too far away. Understand the drop-off and pickup locations for shuttles and who will meet the shuttle and manage loading them for return. Get shuttle drivers or on-site DMC phone numbers. Confirm the space you are using, again, bathrooms, entrance and exits, parking, or whatever else is needed that's important to the location. Staff on site. Again, maintain a daily schedule for your team. When do they need to be at their station, and when is their day over? Give them breaks. You have to add breaks into everyone's day because they're going to be long. You don't want your people exhausted at about 3 o'clock. Make sure your team eats breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I always have separate meals for my staff to make sure they eat and they can get away from the group, have a few minutes in private, and then they're good to go. Let them know what the appropriate dress code is. Include things like, don't come down to the registration desk with wet hair. Sorry, it's not a good look and it's unprofessional. Iron your clothes if needed. It matters. I recommend ordering and giving all team members event shirts so they all match, and the attendees know who the staff members are if they have any questions. Give them one for each day, as there is not enough time to wash clothes and hotel laundry is expensive. I'm particular down to the color of the pants, belt, and shoes my team wears. Let them know a couple of weeks out so they can get what is needed or have a heads up. A professional looking team matters and gives a good impression to the executives and the team and the attendees. It also shows that you have thought it through. What's the chain of command on site if there's a problem or emergency? Do not announce something like this over a group chat or radio unless it is a safety or life emergency. Have your team members come to you, discuss the situation, and determine a course of action. Then let the rest of the team know. Keep your team up to date on any changes and check in with them regularly. It is easy to get overwhelmed, so try not to overreact or get frustrated and take it out on your team. Work together to solve any issues, as I guarantee there will be uh-ohs you will need to address. After the first or second day, it's going to start to feel a little bit like Groundhog Day. Your routine will be the same each day, so stick to your agenda. Check in with your team. Don't assume if things went fine yesterday that they will be fine again. Treat each day like it's the first day of the event and double check everything. Room setups, group meals, registration setup. Make sure everything looks nice and tidy. Is anyone arriving or departing that day? Do you need to make any changes based on what happened yesterday? Check in with the executives, the VIPs, and speakers to see if they need anything. How are things going for them? Days will be long and your team will be tired. Keep them motivated. Make sure they feel appreciated. Give them breaks, make sure they eat, rotate them around a bit if possible to change up their day a little bit. Sometimes it's nice if someone's been sitting at the registration desk for the first 2 days, let them go and support a food and beverage event. Things are going to go wrong. They're going to be delayed or not go as you expected. It's part of event planning, and you have to learn to roll with the punches. Do what you can to catch the possible uh-ohs ahead of time. Change a plan of action when necessary. Step up and help someone on your team if needed. Don't throw anyone under the bus, and take responsibility for the good and the bad for the event. You are the lead. Present yourself that way, and your team, vendors, and hotel will respect you. The wrap up. When the event is over for everyone else, it's not for you and your team, and you're going to need to wrap up. Pack up and ship any event items like registration materials, signage, leftover swag, or supplies. Have a post-event meeting with your team to discuss how things went and what can be done to improve the next event while it's all fresh in your heads. Have a post-event meeting with the hotel to discuss how the event went, what went well, and maybe where there were some missteps. Have a nice staff dinner with the team and decompress with them. Follow up with all your vendors. Again, discuss what went well and maybe what could be done better next time, and confirm the final billing, how it's going to be sent, when it's going to be sent, and write up any post-event reports if that's helpful. So, from one planner to another, the work event planners do is often underappreciated. I know. I've been there, as most people do not truly understand what it takes to plan and run an event. They just think it's all fun. Don't take it personally. Take pride in what you have done and accomplished at the completion of the event. Be proud of yourself and know that you learn something every single time. The more events you do, the more you know, and the more you have in your bucket to use when an unexpected situation arises. Every event is different and will have its own surprises, challenges, and nuances. There's always some level of stress, but the better your pre-planning, the less surprises you will have. There's always something out of your control that comes up, so be cool, calm, and collected, and be a decision maker. And again, if you have any questions or need any support, please reach out to me because I'm happy to help. So, happy planning. All right, Module 5. That's it. Remember, there's a lot of moving parts on site, and it can get hectic. Rely on your team, the hotel, and your vendor partners. A successful event truly takes a team working together, and the more you partner with everyone, the better off your event is going to be. Ask for help and be honest with your team. If you need more help from someone, need them to stop what they're doing, or they aren't meeting your expectations, let them know. Communication is key, and people can't read your mind, so don't assume everyone knows what you need. All right, we're almost there. Next module is going to be Module 6, which is the event wrap-up and billing. Thank you for hanging in there so far.